Hey everybody out there, this is Seto, and today for you guys we're going to be talking about bluffing in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Now this is something that is very important and it's a nice skill to have in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! I feel that bluffing just doesn't apply to poker and whatnot, but it applies to many different card games in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! And you could even say to some degree, if you really want to get, philosophical here, it does apply to life, really. The reason I learned about bluffing is from poker and whatnot, but after reading books like Sun Tzu's Art of War, which I would definitely suggest you read, and The Five Rings, which is another it's a Japanese book written pretty much just like Sun Tzu at the same time frame, but it's very insightful into many things and strategies and whatnot, and I really highly suggest those two books. But they talk about their bluffing, making your opponent off kilter, things of this nature. So let's get into depth about bluffing in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Again, like I mentioned in one of my other previous videos, the game within a game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Where I pretty much talked about, I guess you could say, mind games and knowledge. We'll talk about knowledge a little bit down the road here, probably in my next video, but this one's going to be about bluffing mainly. And it's very important, and it's a nice skill to have. Now, if you've ever heard of tells, or a telltale sign, that is how people can tell you're bluffing or not. If somebody's got your tell on and just knows like, this guy's lying, or this guy's not lying, I can tell because, he's doing a certain thing. People have little tells they do. Like, for example, I know one guy that he'll start doing this. He'll start like flicking his pinky finger at locals. I used to know a guy like that, and that meant that he was lying. He was lying to me when he had that back row set. I knew it. And he didn't do it on purpose. I never told him. Because he was like, how'd you know I was bluffing? I was like, just guessing, man. Little things like that is really true. And if you've played against a guy enough times and you've seen him, like, he may stare down at some tells I've noticed playing Yu-Gi-Oh! A lot is what people will do is they'll shuffle their cards really, really fast. They may have two cards in their hands, but they'll shuffle them a lot faster if they're bluffing, because they're hoping you either fell for their trap or they're bluffing, just straight up, setting a whole bunch of back row, and they won't say anything, they won't talk to you, they'll be mute, really, and not giving any information, no nothing. It's like a blank slate, and that sometimes means that they're lying, or their back row is not something that's true, or they got a bad hand. And that's how you can tell sometimes, little things like that. I've noticed also some things that people do when they're bluffing in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is what they'll do sometimes is they'll do something which is very, very funny, is they'll start tapping their feet. I noticed that. That's something else I've noticed too that Yu-Gi-Oh! Players do. When they're getting nervous, they start tapping their feet. I don't know why, but tapping their feet, shuffling their cards. They'll start. I know some Yu-Gi-Oh! Players they'll start like doing this with their hair, like grooming themselves. And I'm like, this is not a salon shop, this is a duel place. A place of dueling, not fixing your hair up, man. You're not Yu-Gi-Moto, you don't need to keep your hair all spiky. But, beside the point, those are some tell signs, and that's how you can tell if a player is doing. If you notice what your tell is, next time you play and you're bluffing somebody, notice what's your first thing you do. You may like start biting your teeth or something like that, something of that nature. That could be your tell sign, and if you know how to manipulate that against somebody that you're playing against a lot, it can help you out sometimes. It's not cheating. It's not cheating. It's just a game within a game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Guys. That's all it is. Now, bluffing. What are some ways that I've bluffed in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! And why is it very important? Because it can make your opponent, like I said earlier, go off kilter. If I set 5 back row, okay, in my back row, wouldn't that make you wary of attacking directly at me? Wouldn't it? Now, you don't know that 5 back row is a Twin Twister, Book of Moon, Solemn Strike, Solemn Warning. That's what my back row is. That's all it is. It could be 2 Twin Twisters. It could be 3 dead cards and only 1 live card if it's a 4 back row set. You don't know. But it makes you stop and think, and that little stopping and thinking can throw you off kilter and make you think something else. When in normality, what you do, you just summon your monster, you go through your play, and you say, fuck your back row, and just play Yu-Gi-Oh! But instead, you think cautiously. And that happens to some players out there. They stop, they hesitate. Even I do this sometimes, and it's something you have to work, and that's the thing what playing a lot of duel games in real life does. And that's another thing where dueling online is a great thing, and I will never discount dueling online. But when you're trying to learn bluffing skills and, you know, learning these little other things out there, you can't really get that from playing online. You can only get that from playing in real life, really. It's true, I hate to say it. It's one of the downsides. But there's upsides, like I said before in the past. I'm not trying to hate anybody that just plays online. I'm just saying it's very hard for me personally, and I know other players, to learn those set of skills about bluffing and whatnot. It's easier when you're doing it in real life. But sitting a whole bunch of back row makes, you know, people go off kilter. They start freaking out. And like I said prior in my last video, it was really relevant and true, especially like when Heavy Storm, you know, would come off or go, you know, go on the ban list for a bit. Like for the next 3-4 months, that was something that would happen to everybody. They see a whole bunch of back row and they just freak out. It was very relevant. I do apologize, guys. It did just start raining. Other things that are really crucial and helpful when bluffing in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is pretty much, you know, you can really bluff and say you got a great hand. I mean, I've done this many times, so I'm just like, I got a great hand. And then I'll just set a couple of back row and set a monster and face up attack position and be like, hit me, bro. Hit me, come at me. Good example, playing Gravekeepers, I guess you could say sometimes. Well, not Gravekeepers, X-Sabers. Mistake. There's a card called X-Saber Trap Hole. You have to have an X-Saber monster face up on the field to activate a X-Saber Trap Hole. I literally, against people that know me that play X-Sabers, what I've done sometimes in the past is just put a random X-Saber in attack mode when I shouldn't. And they'll just sit there going, you got X-Saber Trap Hole. You have that counter card, I know that. I've seen you play it before, I know you got it. Yeah, sure. And they won't play. They'll literally just like do a play that they shouldn't have done. And then when they notice I don't have the card, they're like, damn it, I screwed up, I overthought. I'll be like, yeah, you overthought. And it's true. It's very true. Bluffing can save your ass so many freaking times. If you learn the art of bluffing, your back may be against the wall, but you making a nice bluff and calling your opponent's bluff can win you the duel because you can just push through their back row because it was just 2 twin twisters or whatever. You know, it was bluffing. It was not cards that would not help them out. You could bluff even yourself, and that can save you from for one turn, and you can turn around on your turn now and go win that duel. Steal defeat from the jars of your opponent's victory, so to speak. So it's a very important skill. It's hard to learn, somewhat, but once you learn it and play enough Yu-Gi-Oh! And you start practicing it on a daily basis playing Yu-Gi-Oh! I do apologize, it's raining. But yes, guys, it's very important. It helps out a lot playing the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! I cannot emphasize that enough. And until next time, guys, take care. Have fun dueling. Good luck dueling. And this was talking a little bit about the art of bluffing and how important it is. And it really is important. And it's, again, like I've said prior in the beginning of this video, it's a game within the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! It's one of those little things that help you become a better player if you learn how to do it. And it's very hard to learn how to properly buff. I mean, professional poker players are probably some of the best people out there that do that, but even they have tells, like I said earlier, that, you know, give away what they got. Even you playing a Yu-Gi-Oh! As a Yu-Gi-Oh! player, just a simple person, probably have tells that you don't even notice about. But once you learn those tells, you can use them to your own advantage. But till next time, guys, take care, have fun dueling, good luck dueling, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care, everybody.